Good evening, I'm John Carter. Welcome to Poland Daily. Exit polls for the municipal elections in Poland, which took place yesterday, showed that the ruling Law and Justice Party won overall, prevailing in 9 out of 16 regions. However, the Civic Coalition, consisting of Civic Platform and the Modern parties, won in most of the biggest cities. The outcome left both sides of the Polish politics with a bittersweet taste. For Civic Platform, it's one of the worst defeats in the municipal elections in 8 years. For Law and Justice, it's a cold shower before the upcoming parliamentary elections next year.
Dziękuję.
The Law and Justice Party won the municipal elections nationwide. Exit polls for last Sunday's elections showed that the party led by Jarosław Kaczyński got 33% of the votes, beating the Civic Coalition and the Polish People's Party. The United Right prevailed in 9 out of 16 districts of Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, we've won for the 4th time. We've won with a score that is a sign of good hope for the upcoming parliamentary elections next year. It's a good omen. The so-called total opposition also believes it came out victorious. The coalition of the Civic Platform and the Modern parties got 26.7% of the votes. My friends, it's a great day for us, although it's just the beginning. We've always said it's going to be a long road and it's the first step for us. We've built the Civic Coalition and we've managed to create the most efficient anti-law and justice party. It's the first step on the road to victory. Politicians of the Law and Justice Party talked about the success in the municipal elections, yet they're definitely not ecstatic about the final outcome.
Od roku 98 żadna siła polityczna.
Since 1998, no political group has scored as well as we did this year. Even the Civic Platform got less votes in their prime in 2010.
Uzyskała gorszy wynik niż dzisiaj Prawo i Sprawiedliwość.
Zawsze mógł być troszkę lepszy. Te 2-3%.
The outcome could have been better. 2, maybe 3% more would give us a more visible victory. However, compared to our results 4 years ago, we came out much better this time, which only confirms that Poles trust us.
To raczej potwierdza tendencję, że mamy demokratyczny mandat do tego, żeby sprawować władzę w Polsce.
The final division of seats and positions in districts and councils will be known after the National Electoral Commission announces the official outcome of the municipal elections, which will happen in the next 3 days.
One slightly unforeseen element of yesterday's election was the number of Liberal candidates embroiled in severe scandals who did surprisingly well. Many Poles are now wondering if Polish voters have an unusually high tolerance for politicians entangled in sex and corruption scandals.
The Law and Justice Party won the local elections, but it's hard to tell to what extent this victory will help the party to rule in individual provinces.
The Law and Justice Party has definitely won, and it can take its pride in prevailing in 9 out of 16 districts. However, it will probably be able to rule on its own in only 2 or 3 districts. Via coalition, maybe in 6 or 7, but who will join forces with them? Still, it's an impressive result.
The key question concerns the Polish People's Party. Its politicians had a good result in the elections. It is up to them as to how they deploy their increased power. Today, the leader of the party, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, declared that the coalition with the Law and Justice Party is not under consideration.
There won't be a coalition with the Law and Justice Party, because one cannot go into coalition with a party that's in opposition to the very idea of local government, like the Law and Justice is.
The other conclusion from Sunday's elections is the great tolerance for candidates with suspect reputations. A lawful conviction for fake documents didn't deny victory for Hanna Zdanowska in the Łódź elections, and sexist behavior didn't stop Roman Smogorzewski from winning the elections in Legionowo.
It's more the case of the voters' contrariness. In the case of Hanna Zdanowska, it's quite obvious. The Law and Justice Party tried to push her out of politics using some legal loopholes, so the voters were even more motivated to support her, and that's one of the problems in politics today.
Law and Justice leaders may well consider the worse than expected election result for the United Right Party a warning sign prior to next year's elections.
Miasta są absolutnie opanowane przez
Large cities are totally controlled by the same old arrangements. It will be very difficult to bring down the people behind these arrangements, mainly due to the fact that it was fear which prevailed in these elections.
Wygrał strach w tych wyborach.
These local elections are the beginning of an extended election period which will later include the European elections in spring and parliamentary in the fall and presidential elections in 2020.
The battle over the Polish Supreme Court is still ongoing. The decision of the European Court of Justice concerns provisions regarding the retirement age of judges aged over 65. The former president of the Supreme Court, Małgorzata Gersdorf, has called on 23 of the judges to return to work today, but only 2 appeared.
Małgorzata Gersdorf wezwała dziś 20...
Today, the former president of the Supreme Court, Małgorzata Gersdorf, called on 23 judges who have retired to come to work. This is a consequence of Friday's decision of the Court of Justice of the European Union. The opposition claims that we should fulfill this decision and wait for the final one. On the other hand, the Law and Justice Party's politicians disagree and claim that the decision in this case should be made by the government.
If Mrs. Gersdorf shows this kind of appeals, she has to know that this decision will be contested by Poland, so it won't come into force. I'm very skeptical about it. I think that it infringes Poland's sovereignty and it concerns matters that are not covered by the EU law.
Do tej pory nie było jasnej deklaracji.
Law and Justice politicians have not made their feelings clear concerning a potential amendment of the provisions of the Supreme Court. Today, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jacek Czaputowicz, said that everything indicates that an amendment to restore judges to their positions will be needed.
Będzie potrzebna.
The massive Central American migrant caravan has managed to penetrate the Guatemalan and Mexican border and is now moving towards the United States. Yesterday, the illegal migrants arrived in the Mexican city of Tapachula. According to reports from the LA Times, the caravan has increased in size to 7,000 people, stretching for miles.
The migrant caravan had been stuck at the border between Mexico and Guatemala for a couple of days before being able to breach it yesterday. The migrants are reported to have turned down all offers of help from the Mexican Federal Police as they fear deportation. According to local sources, the caravan is being closely monitored by the Mexican police, but they have chosen not to intervene so far. In response, US President Donald Trump has threatened to close the US-Mexican border. He has also stated that he will put a stop to financial aid to countries in the region if they don't deal with the problem. The Mexican president-elect, Andrés Manuel Obrador, promised yesterday that the migrants will be issued Mexican work permits if they start applying for them. He also offered to help President Trump to improve the economic situation in the Central American countries that the migrants are coming from.
Thank you very much for joining me here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily Weather and then join me after that for Poland Daily Business.